Yes. That day, we finished the place when Eveline is blamed by Miss Hill. Miss Gavan. Eveline is called Eveline Hill. Miss Hill, don't you see these ladies waiting? Look lively, Miss Hill, please. Yes. Please read the last 5 sentences. Yes.
Whenever there is crowd in the store, Yavan shouts after as other could listen. Miss Hill, don't you see these ladies are waiting? Look lively, Miss Hill, please. Here we could get an idea that this particular lady called Gavin is also a victim of moral paralysis, that she shouts in loud voice to be superior when people are listening.
Yes. But in her new home, now she thinks of leaving this sad environment. Environment is sad. For her, that is not good. But in a new home, that means Frank's home, in a distant, unknown country, it would not be like that. Then she would be married, Yuli. Now she thinks that she will be married, and here name is mentioned. People would treat her with respect then. Normally she thinks that after married, people will respect her. Now it's not a girl, married woman. There's a little bit respect. She would not be treated as her mother had been. That means she knows that her mother was ill-treated. Even now, though she was over 19, she sometimes felt herself in danger of her father's violence. Now also falls into father's violence. She knew it was that she had given her the palpitations. When they were growing up, he had never gone for her, like he used to go for Harry and Ernest, because she was a girl. But latterly he had begun to threaten her and say what he would do to her, only for her dead mother's sake. From recently, father had begun threatening her, saying whatever he does for her, that is for dead mother's sake. That is wrong. A father should not tell so. Therefore, father's words are also reasons for what? This Eulene's disappointment and yes, mm, dejection. And now she had nobody to protect her. She thinks that. Ernest was dead, and Harry, who was in the church decorating business, one brother died, other brother engaged in church decorating business, was nearly always down somewhere in the country. He was somewhere in the country always. Beside the invariable squabble, mean problems, if not quarrels. For money on Saturday nights had begun to weary her unspeakably. Because father is a drunken man, he doesn't want to give money to Eveline. Right? He said, yes. She always gave her entire wages, 7 shillings, and Harry always sent up what he could, but the trouble was to get money from her father. Now, Harry also sent money. Father also got Euline's money, but it was difficult to get any money from her father. He said she used to squander the money. Squander means spend, waste the money. That she had no head, that he wasn't going to give her his hard-earned money to throw about the streets. He says he didn't want to give her his hard-earned money. Actually, not his hard-earned money. It is Euline's money and Euline's brother's money. And much more, for he was usually fairly bad on Saturday's night. And then he would give her the money and ask her she had any intention of buying Sunday's dinner. After giving money, after haggling, he says, "You have any idea to buy Sunday's dinner?" Then she had to rush out as quickly as she could and do her marketing, holding her black leather purse tightly in her hand as she elbowed her way through the crowds and returning home late under her load of provisions. She had hard work to keep the house together and to see that the two young children who had been left to her charge went to school regularly and got their meals regularly. That means after mother's death, she had to take over the duty of her mother also. It was hard work, hard life, but now that she was about to leave it, she did not find it a wholly undesirable life. Right. Right in New Quran. Now we find Eveline. Now we find Eveline thinking about her decision of leaving this unencouraging environment and the narrator provides reasons for her decision. Yes, full stop. She remembers her mother's death and thinks that in a new country, after her marriage, she will not be treated. As her mother had been, yes, full stop. It is at this point, we also come to know that her mother was also ill-treated, and she spent a sad life, full stop. Though it is not mentioned, we can think that her mother fell into a victim of her drunken father's violence. Yes. There is a reasonable reason for us to think so. Yes. As we are told, even now, though she was over 19, she sometimes felt herself in danger of her father's violence. Yes. In her childhood also, her father worked to deprive her childhood, and now he does the same when she is passing her teenage. Yes. Next we read that latterly, her father had begun to threaten her, mm, and say what he would do to her only for her dead mother's sake, S-A-K-E, full stop. These words of her father produced the idea that he is not a father with his responsibility, because any father cannot be expected to tell so, full stop. It is the duty of any father to protect his daughter and treat her well till she gets married, full stop. Therefore, we also get the idea that mm, her father's behavior also has a big hand in her depression and disappointment. Yes, she cannot expect any communication with with his daughter. Yes. Next, we are told that Eveline's living brother, Harry, uh, is engaging in the church decorating business, and he is always down somewhere in the country, full stop. Here we are given the idea that Eveline is therefore extremely isolated at her home. Yes. Next we come to know another side of her father's behavior that led Eveline suffer a lot. Yes. According to the narrator, Eveline had to give her entire wage, that means salary from the working place, her entire wage, 7 shillings. Here, SHILLING shillings to her father and Harry always sent up what he could, but the trouble was to get any money from her father. Now, her father has no right to get her money. It is her salary. But yes, it is understood that her father has no right to mm, get his daughter's salary. Yes. Full stop. As we know, he's a drunken man. So that we can think that mm, he takes her money also for drinking. Mm, as a father, he is totally wrong as we understand. Yes. Though she gives her entire salary to mm, her father, her father uh, it is difficult to get any money back from him. Yes. As we read, she asked for money from her father to go to market and buy the provisions for mm, but ask money from her father to buy provisions for mm, her home, but not her own personal things. Mm, yes. When she asked for money, her father said that she used to squander, SQUANDR, squander money, squandering, throw about the street. Nikang uhe naasti mudal naasti kana squander the money. That she had no head. She had no head. That he was not going to give her his hard-earned money to throw about the streets. Yes. Full stop. We understand that Eveline's father tells these words to satirize her, and his behavior is not correct here. His behavior is not correct here. Yes. Being a father, he could not be expected to behave that way. Yes. It is after haggling a lot, haggling a lot. He gives her some money and then she had to rush out as quickly as she could and do her marketing. Do her marketing. Yes. Full stop. Next, we are told that. Next, we are told that she had hard work to keep the house together, and to see that the two two young children who had been left to her charge went to school regularly and got their meals regularly. Yes. Full stop. Thus, we come to know that there are reasonable reasons behind Eveline's decision of eloping with Frank, her newly found boyfriend. Right. Do I make it Kiyombran? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Other note again, sir.
Other yesterday not taken.
Now we find Evelyn thinking about her decision of leaving this encouraging environment, and the narrator provides reasons for her decision. She remembers her mother's death and thinks that in a new country after her marriage, she will not be treated as her mother had been. It is at this point we also come to know that her mother was also ill treated and she spent a sad life. Though it is not mentioned, we can think that her mother fell into a victim of her drunken father's violence. There is a reasonable reason for us to think so. As we are told, even now, though she was over 19, she sometimes felt herself in danger of her father's violence. In her childhood, also, her father worked to deprive her childhood, and now he does the same when she is passing her teenage. Next, we read that latterly her father had begun to threaten her and say what he would do to her only for her dead mother's sake. These words of her father produced the idea that he is not a father with his responsibility because any father cannot be expected to tell so. It is the duty of any father to protect his daughter and treat her well till she get married. Therefore, we also get the idea that her father's behavior also has a big hand in her depression and disappointment. Disappointment. He cannot expect any communication with his daughter. Next, we are told that Evelyn's living brother Harry is engaging in the church decorating business and he is always down somewhere in the country. Here we are given the idea that Evelyn is therefore extremely isolated at her home. Next, we come to know another side of her father's behavior that let Evelyn suffer a lot. According to the narrator, Evelyn had to give entire wage 7 shillings to her father, and Harry always sent up what he could, but the trouble was to get any money from her father. It is understood that her father has no right to get his daughter's salary. As we know, he is a drunken man, so that we can think that he takes her money also for drinking. As a father, he is totally wrong, as we understand. Though she gives her entire salary to her father, it is difficult to get any money back from him. As we read, she asks for money from her father to go to market and buy provisions for her home, but not her own personal things. When she asks for money, her father thinks that she used to squander the money. She had no head, that he was not going to give her his hard earned money to throw about the streets. We understand that Evelyn's father tells these words to satirize her, and his behavior is not correct here. Being her father, he could not be expected to behave that way. It is after haggling a lot, he gives her some money, and then she had to rush out as quickly as she could and do her marketing. Next, we are told that she had hard work to keep the house together and to see that the 2 young children who had been left to her charge went to school regularly and got their meals regularly. Thus, we come to know that there are responsible reasons behind Evelyn's decision of eloping with Frank, her newly found boyfriend.
Now let's go to this place. She was about to explore. Saturday උදේවරුම් මොකද කරන්න විදුලිමා?
Saturday උදේ මට class.
ක්ලාස් නේ. හරි හරි. නෑ අර paper class එකක් තියෙනවා language papers කතා කරන එකට කමන්නේ නැහැ.
කීයටද සර්?
8:33.
මට class තියෙන්නේ 10 මාරට.
10 මාර්ට්නේ. එහෙනම් පැයක් විතර වගේ උදේ ඉන්න try කරන්නකෝ.
සර්.
මම link එක ගන්න.
හරි සර්.
She was about to explore another life with Frank. Frank was very kind, manly, open-hearted. She was to go away with him by the night boat to be his wife and to live with him in Buenos Aires, where he had the home waiting for her. Buenos Aires in Argentina. Now they had fallen in love. As we come to know, their love affair is a short one, 14 days only. But she had agreed to go away. He told her that he has a house in Buenos Aires. But how can she know that it is a lie or truth? How will she remember the first time she had seen him? He was lodging in a house on the main road where she used to visit. It seemed a few weeks ago. He was standing at the gate, his peaked cap pushed on his head and his hair tumbled forward over face of bronze. Then she had come to know each other. He used to meet outside the stores every evening and see her home. He took her to see The Bohemian Girl. For the first time, she went to a film hall to see the film, and she felt elated as she sat in an unaccustomed part of the theatre with him. He was awfully fond of music and sang a little. People knew that they were caught in, and when he sang about the lass that loves a sailor, she always felt pleasantly confused. He sang a song about a girl who loved a sailor. Then she was upset. Why that? Frank is also a sailor, right? He used to call her Poppins out of love. He also gives her nickname. First of all, it had been an excitement for her to have a fellow, and then she had begun to like him. He had tales of distant countries. He had started as a deck boy at a pound a month on a ship of the Allen Line going to Canada. He told her the names of ships he had been on and the names of the different services. He had sailed through the Strait of Magellan, and he told her stories of the terrible Patagonians. Hmm. He had fallen on his feet in Buenos Aires, he said, and had come over to the old country just for a holiday. Of course, her father had found out the affair and had forbidden her to have anything to say to him. I know these sailor chaps, he said. One day he had quarrelled with Frank, and after that she had to meet her lover secretly. Right. New para. Next, we read that yes, uh, she met Frank when she was going to her working place, and every evening he came with her when she returned home. Returned home. Yes. Their love affair is a very short one, and that is of a few weeks. Few weeks. Anyway, Her affair with Frank gave her a new experience to her that he took her to the film hall to see the film The Bohemian Girl. Bohemian Girl. Yes. Yes. That was a new experience to her because for the first time in her life that she sat in an unaccustomed, unaccustomed part of the theatre with a boy. With a boy. Yes. He tells that he has a house waiting for her in Buenos Aires. B capital, B-U-E-N-O-S. B-U-E-N-O-S, Buenos Aires, in Argentina, and Eveline thinks that she will be able to be his wife there. Be his wife there. Yes. For the first time of her life, she receives love and affection from a boy, and she is attracted to himself, attracted to himself unintentionally. He has no intention in that. She has no. She is attracted to him. Yes. Frank had tales of the success of his life and distant countries as a sailor traveling around the world. Around the world. Yes. Frank was Frank was also born in Ireland, born in Ireland, but he is not a victim of the said, said moral paralysis, moral paralysis, because he left Ireland many years ago and joined a merchant ship. Yes, merchant ship. At first, he had started as a deck boy at £1 a month on a ship of the Allen Line going out to Canada. Yes, he has experiences in different shipping services, shipping services and countries. His stories about terrible Patagonians, that means one tribe, terrible Patagonians, is something new to her, new to her. Yes. Her father had also disturbed her affair that one day he had quarreled with Frank and forbidden her to meet her, and after that she had to meet her lover secretly. Lover secretly. Right. Now we come to the end of the story. The evening deepened in the avenue. The white of the two letters in her lap grew indistinct. One was to Harry, the other was to her father. Ernest had been a favorite, but she liked Harry too. Her father was becoming, now she thinks about her father also. Father was becoming old lately. She noticed he would miss her. Sometimes he could be nice. She remembers some points of her father's goodness. Not long before, when she had been laid up for a day, one day when she was ill, he had read her out of a ghost story and made toast her for her at the fire. Yes, he made toast for Eveline. Another day when their mother was alive, they had all gone for a picnic to the hill of Forth. She remembered her father putting on her mother's bonnet to make the children laugh. Her time was running out, but she continued to sit by the window, leaning her head against the window curtain, inhaling the odor of dusty cretonne. Down Vine Avenue, she could hear a street organ playing. She knew there, strange that it should come that very night to remind her of the promise to her mother, her promise to keep the home together as long as she could. She remembered the last night of her mother's illness. She was again in the closed dark room at the other side of the hall, and outside she heard the melancholy of Italy. The organ player had been ordered to go away and given sixpence. She remembered the father shutting back into sick room saying, "Damned Italian coming over here." Remembers one event. As she mused, the pitiful vision of her mother's life laid its spell on the very quick of her being, that life of commonplace sacrifices closing in final craziness. She remembered as she heard again her mother's voice saying constantly with foolish insistence, "Derivon Seron, Derivon Seron." That is a prayer. She remembers how her mother died. On the night her mother died, on the evening, there went a street singer, Italian one. She remembered that organ playing. The very day the same player comes along the same road. Now she recalls how her mother died pathetically. So she wants to run away. She stood up in a sudden impulse of terror. Escape, she must escape. Frank would save her. He would give her life, perhaps two, but she wanted to live. Why should she be unhappy? She had a right to happiness. Frank would take her in arms, fold her in arms. He would save her. She stood among the swaying crowd in the station at the north wall. He held her hand, and she knew that he was speaking to her, saying something about the passage over and over again. The station means boat station, was full of soldiers with brown baggages. Through the wide doors of the shed, she caught a glimpse of the back mast of the boat lying in beside the quay wall, with illumined portholes. She answered nothing. She felt her cheek pale and cold, and out of a maze of distress she prayed to God to direct her, to show her what was her duty. Now she is at the boat station to go on the boat and then get on the ship. The boat blew a long, mournful whistle into the mist. If she went tomorrow, she would be on the sea with Frank steaming towards Buenos Aires. Their passage had been booked. Could she still draw back after all she had done for her? Her distress awoke a nausea in her body, and she kept moving her lips in silent, fervent prayer. A bell clanged upon her heart. She felt him seize her hand. Now she is in a distress mentality, unconscious. She doesn't know what is happening. Come. All the seas of the world tumbled about her. He was drawing her into them. He would drown her. She gripped with both hands in the iron rail. Finally, he thinks that Frank will drown her in the sea. That is the mental paralysis. Come, no, it was impossible. Her hands clenched the iron cranes in the sea. She went a cry of anguish. Now, that man wants to take her, but she cries, Eveline, Evie. He rushed beyond the barrier and called her to follow. He was shouted to go on, but he still called to her. She set her white face to him, passive like a helpless animal. Her eyes gave him no sign of love or farewell or recognition. Frank goes on the boat, and Newlyn remains in the porthole in the boat station. Yes, new para. The concept of moral paralysis that James Joyce suggests in this short story can be seen at the latter part of the story. Yes, she has already written two letters to her father and brother, and again thinks about her decision. Yes, what we could understand is that Eveline is indecisive, Indecive, decisive, yes. She remembers some good points of her father and thinks that he may miss her if she goes away. However, the Italian street organ player, street organ player reminds her of the night of her mother's death because the same organ player had come on the very road on her mother's death. Yes. Next we meet Eveline at the boat station where Frank is waiting for her. Yes. It is at the last moment she could not put her decision into practice. Yes. The boat launches, Launches, launches with Frank while Eveline remains in the boat station. Yes. Finally, we are told that she set her white face to him, passive, like a helpless animal, and her eyes gave him no sign of love or farewell or recognition. New para. In the short story, Eveline, James Joyce shows the theme of moral paralysis through this 19-year-old girl called Eveline. Yes. Therefore, we should understand that Eveline is not a single character, but a very common representative for the theme of moral paralysis, as that is interpreted by James Joyce. Right, please the second part. Please read the second part. Can you?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Next, we read that she met Frank when she was going to her working place, and every evening he came with her when she returned home. Their love affair is a very short one, and that is of a few weeks. Anyway, her affair with Frank gave her a new experience to her, that he took her to the film hall to see the film The Bohemian Girl. That was a new experience to her because for the first time in her life that she sat in an unaccustomed part of the theater.
Unaccustomed.
Unaccustomed
Yes.
part of the theater with a boy. He tells that he has a house waiting for her in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and Evelyn thinks that she will be able to be his wife there. For the first time of her life, she refuses love and affection from a boy, and she is attracted to himself unintentionally. Frank had tales of the success of his life and distant countries as a sailor traveling around the world. Frank was also born in Ireland, but he is not a victim of the said moral paralysis because he left Ireland many years ago and joined a merchant ship. At first, he had started as a boy at a port a month in a ship of the Allen Line going out to Canada. He had experiences in different shipping services and countries. His stories about terrible Patagoni- Patagonians is something new to her. Her father had also disturbed her affair that one day he had quarreled with Frank and uh, forbidden her to meet her, and after that she had to meet her lover secretly. The concept of moral paralysis that James Joyce suggests in this short story can be seen at the latter part of the story. She has she has already written two letters to her father and brother, and again thinks about her decision. What we could understand is that Evelyn is indecisive. Yes, Evelyn is indecisive. She remembers some good point about her father and thinks that he may miss her if she goes away. However, the Italian street organ player reminds her of the night of her mother's death because the same organ player had come on the very road on her mother's death. Next, we meet Evelyn at the boat station where Frank is waiting for her. It is the last moment. She could not put her decision into practice. The boat launches with Frank while Eveline remains in the boat station. Finally, we are told that she set her white face to him, passive like a helpless animal, and her eyes gave him no sign of love or farewell or recognition. In the short story Eveline, James Joyce shows the theme of moral paralysis through this 19-year-old girl called Eveline. Therefore, we should understand that Eveline is not a single character but a very common representative for the theme of moral paralysis as there is interpreted by James Joyce.
right. හෙට 6 මාට මොකද?
පුළුවන් සර්.
හරි. මට මෙසේජ් එකක් එවන්න.
හරි සර්.
හරි. good night.
Good night sir. Thank you sir.